Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tom. Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. I want to thank everybody for listening. Hope you're listening and subscribing on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and anywhere else that you find podcasts. And you can always catch the video stream on YouTube and Twitch. And hope everybody's following on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Just search Catch, Hook, Shoot. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So a lot of stuff going on in the world of wrestling this week. First of all, I just want to take time to acknowledge the passing of yet another WWE legend, former World Heavyweight Champion, first ever Triple Crown Champion, Pedro Morales, passed away this week. Like I said, first ever man to hold the World Heavyweight, Intercontinental, and Tag Team Championships in WWE. Participated in the 20-man Battle Royal at WrestleMania 2, defeated Ivan Koloff for his to begin his World Heavyweight Championship reign, and just an all-around legend, Hall of Famer, great competitor. So rest in peace to Pedro Morales. From Japan, we've got a new IWGP champion in Jay White, the new leader of the Bullet Club, defeated Tanahashi. Kind of a surprise there. Tanahashi's only had that championship for a little over a month, so. The IWGP Championship back in the hands of the Bullet Club. Probably the biggest piece of news this week is a new signing for StarCast coming up Memorial Day weekend in Las Vegas, attached to the AEW Double or Nothing event. The Undertaker will be making an appearance at StarCast. This is huge just because it's he's a WWE talent, number one, and it's the Undertaker. He doesn't make a whole lot of convention type appearances. I mean, he does, it's not unheard of. He does it once in a while, but for Conrad Thompson to sign him for an appearance at StarCast it's huge. And according to Dave Meltzer, so take it with a grain of salt, the Undertaker's WWE contract is up, and he's not currently scheduled for WrestleMania or for the Saudi Arabia show they have coming up. So, basically, Meltzer is saying that at this point, Undertaker is a free agent, possibly retired from the ring. But if that's the case, it's the Undertaker. There'd be I think there would be a bigger deal made out of it. He'd have that last retirement match if that's something that he wanted. I mean, if he just kind of wanted to walk away, fade away quietly, then, that's what he's going to do. But, I would think there would be some kind of official announcement saying, that the Undertaker is retired. So we'll have to see what happens from there. It is kind of cool that Undertaker and Sting are both appearing at StarCast. I know that's a match that wrestling fans have been clamoring for decades, really. But, at this point, I don't think it's going to happen. I know I saw a few people throw out there online, what do you think is the possibility of Taker and Sting, having that match in AEW? And of course Meltzer chimed in and said 0. So, and that's kind of the way that All In came about. Was somebody asking, did Meltzer think that Ring of Honor could sell out a 10,000 seat arena? And he said no, and Cody was basically like, well, I'll take that bet. And saw somebody online said, I wonder how long it's going to take Undertaker or Sting to say, I'll take that bet, Dave. But not counting on that happening, but it's always something cool to talk about. Especially for me, Undertaker and Sting are my top 2 of all time. So like I said, a huge coup on Conrad Thompson's part, getting the Undertaker to make an appearance at StarCast too. Some AEW news. Again, this is all kind of rumor and innuendo here, but basically their upcoming schedule looks like they're going to be having monthly events starting in May with Double or Nothing, another U.S. show in June, their Jacksonville show in July and August. Apparently they have a show in London, and September, according to this rumor, is going to be the official sequel to All In. I guess the rumored name is All Out, or something along those lines, that will be here in Chicago again in September. And then starting in October is when they will be doing regular weekly TV, which that part is not really a big surprise. I think that's kind of what everybody figured, because that's when WWE is moving to Fox for SmackDown and moving to Friday night. So that's going to free up that Tuesday night time slot, which is pretty much what everybody thinks AEW is going to take, since they have copyrighted the name Tuesday Night Dynamite. So it would only make sense that they would start off those weekly airings in October once WWE is out of that time slot. Tickets for Double or Nothing went on sale this week and sold out in 4 minutes. And first time that there's ever been a first day sellout for wrestling in Las Vegas. A lot of people are kind of hating on AEW, especially the hardcore WWE fans, and they're kind of trying to downplay it and discounting them, and really kind of wishing failure upon them, which is just dumb in my opinion, quite honestly. But these guys are no joke, and they've got a huge fan base, as was proven this week. I mean, a 4-minute sellout is huge, and this is more than a 10,000 seat arena. This is a bigger venue than the Sears Center here in Chicago. The MGM Grand, I want to say they blocked it for 14,000 seats, so pretty good bump in attendance, I would say, as expected for Double or Nothing. Another Double or Nothing match was officially announced this week. Triple threat women's match with Britt Baker, Kylie Rae, and Nyla Rose. Should be. I have to say I'm not real familiar with Kylie Rae or Nyla Rose. I haven't seen a whole lot of their stuff other than highlights here and there that I've been able to see online. But I have seen Britt Baker in the past, and I think all three of these women are going to put on a great match. Some more AEW news. Cody Rhodes underwent successful knee surgery this week, and according to the reports, he will be ready for Double or Nothing. So, count on seeing him there. Some other interesting news concerning the Elite was mentioned online that Marty Scurll's Ring of Honor contract expires before May 25th, and this was on Being the Elite where this was mentioned. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see Marty Scurll make an appearance at Double or Nothing. I don't know exactly when his contract expires with Ring of Honor, if they'll have time to put a match together or anything like that. But I would, if his contract is up prior to the Double or Nothing show, I would say it's a safe bet he is going to be there, and he will be with AEW along with the rest of the Elite. Some SmackDown news. Mustafa Ali was injured and had to withdraw from the Elimination Chamber. Was announced on SmackDown this week, and he was replaced by Kofi Kingston, which was a bit of a surprise, but a welcome one for sure. Kofi's been in, really kind of one of the workhorses in WWE for over a decade, and his career, his singles career, kind of was up and down. He was in a world title picture for a while, then he was, in like the mid-card picture for the U.S. Intercontinental titles, and he's been a part of a lot of tag teams, been a tag team champion multiple times with the New Day, with CM Punk, with Evan Bourne. So, seeing him get another shot at a singles run is pretty cool. He's definitely more than earned it, and had a gauntlet match on SmackDown this week to decide who would be the last person to enter the Elimination Chamber coming up tomorrow. And Kofi lasted about an hour in that match, and I mean, really showed what he could do in case some people forgot, because like I said, he's been mostly in tag teams. The last few years, just with the New Day, he's worked primarily tag team matches. So to see him get that kind of spotlight against guys like Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Jeff Hardy, was really good to see. So I'm looking forward to seeing what where it's going to go from here. Hopefully they kind of keep giving him a little bit of a singles push, because I definitely think he deserves it. Kofi's been one of my favorite guys from the modern era in WWE, and I don't think he ever really got the chance for that main event spotlight, because I think he would shine in that position. So hopefully this isn't just a kind of, well, we're going to use him to replace Mustafa Ali, and then after the Elimination Chamber he's back with the New Day. So we'll have to see. Some more rumors going around out there is that Batista has been in talks with both WWE and AEW. I don't know how much truth there is to that rumor, but I don't see him getting a good reception in AEW, and I'm talking about from the fans. I mean, wrestling-wise, he's a veteran, he's a mainstream star as well, so I don't know, I don't see him fitting with the current AEW roster. Now, granted, that roster's not complete, but you know, that his name and also Brock Lesnar's name is another one that's been mentioned as you know, in contract negotiations with AEW, and I just don't know. I can't see it, but with Cody and the Bucks and you know, Kenny Omega and the Elite guys running things over there, I'm sure they could make it work if they are able to get them signed. I'm sure it would be, you know, they'd be able to definitely make something out of it. On the Raw side, we've got new Raw Tag Team Champions in the Revival. Got their, you know, won those titles from Bobby Roode and Chad Gable this past Monday. Long time coming on this one, to, you know, so much so to the point they had actually asked for their release, and I think that kind of made WWE management maybe sit up and take notice and say, okay, maybe we need to kind of, you know, push our tag team division a little bit more, because this is something that people actually want to see. So the Revival, a true tag team, not one of these thrown together teams like Roode and Gable. I mean, nothing against Roode and Gable; they're both phenomenal wrestlers, but they're not, you know, they're not a tag team. You know, Bobby Roode was a tag team with James Storm. You know, Beer Money was a tag team. The Revival is a tag team. So it's good to see an actual pure tag team with those championships. For Raw and SmackDown, they both held tag team triple threat matches to see who would enter the women's tag team elimination chamber first. The losers of those matches were Bayley and Sasha Banks on Raw and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville on SmackDown. So those two teams will be the first ones to enter the Elimination Chamber for the women's tag team titles. Another rumor that's flying around out there is that the WWE is trying to re-sign Eva Marie before they move to Fox in October. I would assume just because of her, you know, mainstream appeal. I'm not going to go so far as to say she's a mainstream star, but you know, I understand the reasoning behind it. I don't necessarily agree with it myself, but you know, I made the comment online earlier this week. If they bring her back, depending on what capacity they use her, you know, I could see it as being a good idea. You know, use her as a manager. If they sign her, when they first bring her back, put her in a position of a manager for somebody. Could be man, woman, tag team, whatever. Just put her in the position of a manager while she kind of gets used to being back in the ring. Let her work as a manager on TV, and let her work NXT house shows to, you know, get back in ring shape, and just kind of shake off the ring rust and build her skills. I mean, you know, from the time WWE signed her originally to the time she left WWE, her, you know, she did improve a lot. I don't think she took it 100% seriously at first, but then, you know, that did change, and she, you know, I'm not going to say she would turn into a ring general or anything like that, but, you know, look at her very first WWE match and look at her last WWE match where she actually wrestled, and, you know, there was noticeable improvement there. So if she continues to work, if she has continued to work since she's been away from WWE, I don't know, but, you know, she can pick up the skills. She's a natural heel. I mean, the fans, you know, just have that natural negative response to her for a lot of reasons, I'm sure. But, you know, I could see it working if it's done right. If they bring her back and just throw her into the women's division to wrestle, you know, people are going to, it's not going to be pretty, put it that way. So we'll have to see what comes of that, if there's even any truth to it. So on the Raw side, we actually had an appearance from Vince McMahon at the end of Raw. He suspended Becky Lynch for 60 days and inserted Charlotte into the WrestleMania match versus Ronda Rousey. Now, you know, we all know this is a work. The 60-day suspension, of course, is up 5 days after WrestleMania. I'm sure between now and then, they're going to, you know, Becky Lynch is going to find a way to get back into that match in storyline, obviously. But, you know, this has been going online for a few months already, you know, that it's going to be a triple threat match. So this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, yet people are still, you know, crapping all over this idea. And, you know, if you're going to put the women on as the main event of WrestleMania, I think this is a great idea. You've got your top 3 women competitors in this match. I mean, you know, Ronda's got her fan base. Charlotte is just a natural heel, can work against either one of them. She's almost as good of a natural heel as her father, and Becky Lynch, the one, is the hot thing right now. She is like the female Stone Cold, like a lot of people say. So, I can definitely see this working, and it is what it is, guys. Complaining about it isn't going to change it, and WWE has a vision for what they want to do, and I'm gonna sit back and see how it plays out. I think it's going to be a great match with these three. I mean, all three of them can work in that ring like nobody else. So, at the very least, it's going to be a phenomenal wrestling match. And I think the story building up to it so far has been great. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Becky Lynch is able to work her way back into that match. So another interesting note from Raw was the promo by Seth Rollins talking about his Universal Championship match against Brock Lesnar. We had Paul Heyman come out and, of course, cut his own promo. And Heyman, as we all know, the best talker in the business right now. But Rollins made an interesting comment to Heyman, basically saying he would do anything and everything to get his hands on the Universal Championship to defeat Brock Lesnar, including, quote-unquote, sell my soul to the devil himself. Now, I find this interesting because, a lot of people, and there's other people I know that had the same take on it, the devil himself, that wording just kind of struck a chord because a lot of people would say that the devil himself is Paul Heyman. So could we see some, maybe Heyman turning on Brock at WrestleMania? I know this is something that's been thrown around before. I think I've mentioned it before with some of Brock's matches. Could he possibly turn on him? I think I might have said it when Brock was going against, might have been Samoa Joe or maybe Braun Strowman, or no, it was Roman Reigns. I think I said it about. But yeah, I could probably see Seth Rollins being a Paul Heyman guy. I wouldn't be opposed to that, especially if Brock is leaving the WWE anytime soon. I could see them wanting to keep Heyman around because, Heyman himself is a draw, and like I said, he is the best talker in the business right now. So, giving him another client, so to speak, would be, the way to keep Heyman around, because I don't see him going back to commentary or anything like that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Some new signees apparently reported to the WWE Performance Center this week. Among those are a lot of pretty big name indie stars: ACH, Trevor Lee, Sam Shaw, Rachel Ellering, and Karen Q all reported to the Performance Center. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing them on NXT TV sooner rather than later. I don't think any of them need a whole lot of training, so to speak. I think in their cases it's going to be more learning how to work the cameras and promo work and things like that. So I would expect to see them on TV probably, if not before WrestleMania, then shortly thereafter. Kind of another big story that came out this week, an unfortunate story. I guess Jimmy Uso was arrested in Detroit for disorderly conduct. He and Naomi were driving and I guess made a wrong turn, wrong way down a one-way street, and got pulled over, and Jimmy apparently jumped out of the car and wanted to start fighting with police. At least that's a story that's circulating. He was arrested for disorderly conduct, posted bond. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. WWE released a statement saying, hey, he's responsible for his own actions. The only time WWE is going to get involved with any kind of legal issues with any competitors is if it's like a domestic violence type thing. Then, like most sports leagues do, they have a zero tolerance policy, and the person would pretty much be suspended on the spot, and then if they're found guilty of it, they'll be fired. But that wasn't the case. It was just breaks down to, he argued with a cop and wanted to get physical and was taken in for it. So I think it's being blown up to be more than it is. There's even one website reporting that, he and Naomi are trying to get fired so they can go to AEW, and that is one of the most ridiculous things I've heard, probably at least the most ridiculous thing I've heard this week. So, it's just completely senseless. Supposedly they have a source that told them this, but, that, I'll say flat out, I think that is just a crock. I don't believe a word of that at all. If they want out of their contracts, I don't know how much longer their contracts are for. Hey, they can easily ask for a release. They probably won't get it, but, it lets the WWE know that, hey, we don't want to be here, rather than And honestly, are you going to get yourself purposely arrested and, add, crimes to your record and things like that, and, create a criminal record for yourself just because you want to out of a contract? I don't think so. That's just really, really a stupid thing to say. So anyway, I'm going to leave that one alone for the moment. Tessa Blanchard had a pretty big week on TV this week. Pretty big Friday night, actually. She, of course, is part of the WOW television show, Women of Wrestling. If you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, I strongly suggest you do. It's on Access TV right after New Japan Pro Wrestling on Friday nights. But Tessa Blanchard did win the WOW World Championship this week, and also on Impact, also on Friday night, which is on right after WOW on the Pursuit channel and on Twitch. She had a street fight with Taya Valkyrie. Phenomenal match between these two. Taya was the winner, but I would definitely say match of the night. Johnny Impact defended the Impact World Championship in a four-way match against Brian Cage, Moose, and Killer Cross as well on the same show. Johnny Impact did retain the title in that match. So Impact, I'm enjoying Impact again. I'm really enjoying watching it every week. Apparently their viewership has not been real high since they moved to Pursuit, but I think that's just a matter of, I don't think that many people have Pursuit, or people that do have it probably don't even know it, because honestly, I had never even heard of the channel until they announced the move, which I don't get the channel. I watch it on Twitch, so, but hopefully, people start tuning in, because Impact has come a long way since Anthem bought them out, and they're making improvements every week, and I can honestly say I am a fan of Impact again. Another kind of stupid thing that I want to make small reference to, at least this week, some comments that Disco Inferno made about women's wrestling, saying that he's not a fan of women's wrestling, and it's like the WNBA, they're the best professional women basketball players in the world, but they're still not as good as the guys, and things like that. And he says, there has to be some kind of sexuality involved, not sexuality, but it's more based on looks than on talent and things like that. And he's like, if somebody is an okay worker but has a lot of sex appeal, then I'll be a fan of that. And just really stupid comments, honestly, from somebody who has not been relevant in the wrestling business for about 20 years. And it's just, when did Disco Inferno become an authority on anything in wrestling? I mean, yeah, I understand, Disco was a good worker. I'm not going to take away from his abilities in the ring, but you know what? Steve Lombardi was a good worker. He was also a great producer behind the scenes for WWE, the Brooklyn Brawler. But, I would take his word on on the state of women's wrestling, or his opinion on women's wrestling, over Disco Inferno's. Barry Horowitz was a good worker, but, you don't see him claiming to be an expert on anything. Disco Inferno at best was somewhere between a mid-card comedy act and, an enhancement talent. That, I'm sorry, but during his career, that's what he was. I know he was a television champion. He was kind of the lackey for the Wolfpack there for a little while in WCW, but he's not somebody that I put a whole lot of stock in anything they say, because he, really, he's not an authority on anything, and some of his opinions, frankly, are just ridiculous. And the statements that he made regarding women's wrestling this week were completely out of line and honestly just stupid. So that's really all I'm going to say about that. Disco Inferno, never been a fan of his anyway. His gimmick was horrible. It was, to me, this is totally my opinion now. I don't speak for anybody but myself, but to me, his gimmick was horrible. He was not entertaining at all. Every time he came on Nitro, I changed it over to Raw, and that is a fact. I've never been a big fan of Disco Inferno, so that's that. So let's get into previewing the Elimination Chamber coming up this week. First off, we're going to start off with the SmackDown Tag Team titles. We've got The Miz and Shane McMahon versus the Usos. Now, originally I would have picked the Usos to win this one, but with Jimmy's incident this week, I don't know if WWE is going to be real keen on putting the tag team titles on them at the moment. So I'm going to say I think The Miz and Shane are probably going to retain in this one. For the Cruiserweight Championship, Buddy Murphy versus Akira Tozawa. Buddy Murphy's been an awesome Cruiserweight champion. I've said a million times, and I'll continue to say it. You know, he has really come into his own since moving to 205 Live. So you know, he's over with the crowd, and he's the top guy on that show right now. So I don't see him losing the title anytime soon. I think he's going to hold it at least until WrestleMania. So I'm looking for Buddy Murphy to retain the Cruiserweight Championship in this one. But I'm excited to see this match with him and Tozawa. It's a good contrast in styles. I think it definitely has the potential to steal the show, but I'm sure it's probably going to be on the kickoff show, so we'll have to see. But yeah, it definitely should be a great match with those guys. For the Intercontinental Championship, there's a handicap match: Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush versus Finn Balor. I would love to see Finn win this. I would love to see him with a championship. I mean, he's absolutely capable of beating Lashley. We've seen that he's capable of beating Lio Rush. So, with the match that he had against Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, they need to keep that momentum going for him. So I'm picking Finn Balor to win this one and win the Intercontinental Championship. Another, I don't want to say a throwaway match, because this is a kind of a feud that's been going on for a little while, but kind of cooled off, and it looks like they're trying to heat it back up again. Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin, just a straight up one-on-one singles match. Now they did have a confrontation on Raw. Apparently Corbin is still in a little bit of an alliance with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, so we'll have to see if there's any kind of interference from either one of them. So yeah, it's just McIntyre doesn't have a match on the card, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him get involved somehow. But I'm pretty much looking for Braun Strowman to win this one. Could end up being a total squash match. For the Raw Women's Championship, we've got Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott. They've been building this one up pretty much since the Royal Rumble, or the Raw after the Rumble. Should be a great match. I'm a huge fan of Ruby Riott. There's been a lot of people complaining online about this match, that Ruby's just kind of being thrown in there, and it's just kind of a throwaway match because everybody knows Ronda's gonna go into Mania as the champion to face Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Well, yeah, Ronda is gonna retain the title. I'll say that right now. It doesn't mean it's a throwaway match. It doesn't mean Ruby Riott is just being, overlooked or anything like that. This is a good spot for Ruby Riott to be in. I mean, this is her first real main event spot on a pay-per-view, so that's no small thing. And this, I think, is her chance to show the fans, show WWE, like, hey, I can hold this spot. I've earned my right to be here, and I'm gonna show you that I can work in this spot every night if you need me to. So I think it's going to be a great match with Ronda and Ruby. Obviously, like I said, I think Ronda's going to retain. I don't think there's any question about that. But I think it's going to be a great match. And Ronda Rousey, a lot of people still try to compare her to Brock Lesnar, and truthfully, there is no comparison there, because Brock 99% of the time is presented to be this indestructible beast who can't be hurt or anything like that. Now, of course, that was not the case at the Rumble when Brock fought Finn. I thought he sold that abdominal injury after taking the hit to the table. I mean, it was great, because that him selling that injury is what made you believe that Finn could actually pull out the victory in that match. So I definitely give a lot of credit to Brock Lesnar for making that match work. But, Ronda Rousey has shown she will sell for her opponent. She, has shown vulnerability as far as, getting hurt or getting, not having injuries, but, being hurt during a match, whatever it might be. She's not that indestructible, unbeatable monster that Brock Lesnar is portrayed as most of the time. So I really am looking forward to this match, because I think the matchup between Ruby Riott and Ronda Rousey is a really good one. So I'll have to see how that one turns out, but I'm looking forward to that match. Then we've got 2 Elimination Chamber matches on that show. The first one for the WWE Championship, Daniel Bryan defending against AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, Kofi Kingston, and Randy Orton. Now, Randy Orton did win that gauntlet match on SmackDown, so he will be entering the cage last. So, yeah, this one I honestly would love to see Kofi Kingston win. I think it would just be a cool kind of, out of nowhere curveball surprise for everybody, and I think the fans would go nuts for it. But I don't see WWE going into WrestleMania with Kofi as a champion, unfortunately, because I know he could, carry that title into WrestleMania, especially, with the right opponent. But I'm not thinking they're going to change the title at this point. I think they're going to keep it on Daniel Bryan, at least until WrestleMania. Now, there have been rumors floating around out there that once he does lose that title, the belt is going to be changed again. Of course, Bryan right now has that environmentally friendly hemp and wood belt, but the rumor is that when the regular championship title comes back, it's going to be on a blue strap for SmackDown, which that's been rumored since the brand split first happened and the Universal title was introduced on Raw with the red strap. They've been saying they're going to change the WWE Championship to a blue strap, so this is probably where it's going to happen. So whenever Bryan does lose that title is probably when you'll see the new look for the WWE Championship. But at the Elimination Chamber, I think Bryan is going to find a way to retain. If the championship does change hands, I would think it'll either go to Randy Orton or AJ Styles. I think Samoa Joe could definitely carry that title. I think Kofi Kingston could, and Jeff Hardy has in the past. I think he could do it again. I think like I said, I'd love to see Kofi win the title, and I think if they, worked it right, I would love to see a program with Kofi Kingston and Samoa Joe going into WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that would just be a great, I love matches where there's a big clash in styles between guys, and, I can't think of a much bigger clash in styles than Kofi Kingston and Samoa Joe. So, but that's me. That's my armchair booking, so to speak. That's what I'd like to see. But what I think is going to happen is Daniel Bryan's going to come out of the chamber with the championship, and then start the build towards WrestleMania. Figure out who his opponent's going to be. The easy answer would be AJ Styles. Daniel and AJ are going to put on a great match. So, but we'll see how things go there. And then the final Elimination Chamber, which I would think is probably going to be the main event of the show, is the 6 Tag Team Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. As I said before, the ones starting off this match, first 2 in the ring, are going to be Bayley and Sasha Banks, and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. The other 4 teams are Nia Jax and Tamina, Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and Naomi and Carmella. Kind of an interesting pairing there. Now, the way that this has been built up, I think, WWE wants everybody to think that Bayley and Sasha Banks are going to be the first women's tag team champion, but the last couple of weeks, you've seen Sasha kind of getting hurt during a match and leaving Bayley on her own. So I don't know where that's going. I don't know if that's going to come into play during this match and Bayley's going to be left on her own again and end up, taking a pin somewhere. But I'm having a hard time picking a winner in this one, because any of these teams, honestly, could hold those titles. Could, I think, make a good run with those titles and have earned those titles. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see Nia Jax and Tamina come away with the women's tag team titles, just because they obviously are the biggest, most powerful team in the match. Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan have shown themselves to be a really good tag team in the women's division. They work really well together. They have great chemistry. Same thing could be said for Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, although there has been a little friction there with those two, but they kind of have gotten away from that, so it doesn't look like anything is ever going to come of that. So, but my pick, my gut is telling me it's going to be Bayley and Sasha Banks. It's the predictable outcome, but I think it's also what the fans want to see. So hopefully WWE takes that into consideration and, doesn't try to pull a swerve on everybody. So, that's my picks for the Elimination Chamber coming up tomorrow night. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody who's been checking out the show. Hope you're listening and subscribing on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you find your podcasts. And I hope everybody is checking out the video feed on YouTube and Twitch. And I hope you're following on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And so yeah, next week I am working on getting my first interview set up with a fellow wrestling podcaster, blogger, owner of a wrestling website. I'm not going to give too many details, but we've been emailing back and forth a little bit. You know who you are. So hopefully we're going to be able to chat next week, and I will have that interview posted on next week's show. So until then, hope everybody has a good holiday weekend. For those of you that have Monday off like I do, enjoy it. Get some rest, watch some wrestling, have some fun. And until next week, hope everybody has a great week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.